A new warning was just issued by government officials of a quote 90% probability of a quote megaquake happening soon. All right, we are also getting warnings that there could be tsunamis attached to this megaquake. And just in the past 24 hours, we had a 6.0 earthquake hit Japan, and we had a 6.9 hit the Philippines last week as well too. Also, certain parts of the country are also on standby for evacuation notices and orders due to fires. So let's get into all the details. All right, you guys can see this is what happened over the past 24 hours. Okay, we had this massive quake hit Japan. All right, this was a 6.0, and actually just a few days ago, the Japanese government issued a major warning for a quote megaquake that could hit Japan in the Nankai Trough. Okay, so you can see here it says that Japan updates probability of Nankai Trough megaquake to as high as 90%. All right, this is huge. They had it at 80% just a few months ago, and now they've revised it to up to 90% over the next 30 years of a megaquake striking the Nankai Trough. And this could be disastrous for even the United States because there are tsunami potentials from this, especially for places like Hawaii and Alaska, and even the west coast of the United States. California, Oregon, Washington are under threat from this. And similar events to Fukushima as well too. We could see a radiological disaster in the aftermath of this too if a megaquake did hit the Nankai Trough, because we saw this megaquake hit Russia, the Kamchatka Peninsula, in late July 29th, I believe was the date. But there's nothing really there. There's not a lot of infrastructure there. There's not a lot of people that live there. And it was relatively low impact, all right, even though the earthquake was very powerful and did cause tsunami waves, small waves in some areas. And it's going to be a lot different, okay? Japan has over 100 million people living on the island, and they are going to be trapped on this small island while the earthquake's happening. We could see bridges destroyed, buildings destroyed. I saw estimates of hundreds of billions of dollars in damages, all right, even into the trillions potentially for damaged buildings and infrastructure in the country from this megaquake hitting the Nankai Trough. And that radiological disaster that could happen in the aftermath of this. Japan has multiple nuclear power plants on this small island, and the aftermath could be us having radiological particles like cesium showing up on our shores, on our beaches, and even in our food. Okay, you can even date wine back to 2011, I believe, is when the Fukushima, 2011 or 2014, I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it was 2011. But you can date wine back to this date due to the radioactive cesium particles that are inside of the wine. Okay, they can test it, and that's because the cesium from the Fukushima nuclear reactor made its way all the way over to the west coast, and it showed up in grapes inside California and the agriculture. Okay, so this is more than just Japan. This will affect the entire world, and especially the Pacific Rim here will be affected, and the United States could see particulate make its way, even aerosolized, even airborne, make its way over to the United States if anything like this ever did happen. Okay, let's get into more details of this for just a second. It says a figure announced Friday by the National Earthquake Investigation Committee reflects a revised calculation method that factors in data errors and prediction uncertainties. Officials stress the changes does not imply that the seismic risk has increased. Earlier this year, the panel had placed the probability at about 80%. Quote, the reality remains that a major quake could occur at any time. Strengthening disaster preparedness must continue, said panel chief Noshi Hirata, professor emeritus at the University of Tokyo. Okay, so You can see here it says the Nankai Trough is a deep ocean trench along Japan's Pacific coastline and is known for generating massive tremors every 100 to 150 years. The last confirmed event was in 1946, the Nankai Quake, which registered an estimated magnitude of 8.0. Okay, and in 1946 things were a lot different. Populations were a lot smaller. There weren't a bunch of nuclear reactors, and there weren't as many buildings and people here living in Japan, or just in general on planet Earth. Okay, so this is going to affect a lot more people. I've seen estimates into the hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of people potentially losing their life from this earthquake as well too. When they released this previously, I made a video on this a few months ago when they were at 80%. So it's now at potentially 90% chance of this happening in the next 30 years, and they think it could happen relatively soon with all of the earthquake activity that we've seen. And you can see here just over the past 24 hours there's been 209 earthquakes. There's been a 5.5 here outside of Mexico. Okay, the 6.0 hit Japan right outside of Tokyo, 4.2 in Japan as well too, 5.2 off the coast of Russia, a 5.0 in the Philippines, 5.0 another one in the Philippines. And just last week in the Philippines they had a massive earthquake that caused a lot of destruction. All right, you can see here it says why the Philippines earthquake was so deadly. And it says the Philippines is no stranger to earthquakes. It sits on the seismically active Pacific Ring of Fire, but a tremble which struck on Tuesday, September 30th, became the deadliest the country has ever experienced since at least 2013. The 6.9 magnitude quake just hit before 10 p.m. local time, the Philippine seismologist reported, off the shore of coastal Bogo City, which has 90,000 people, in the island province of Cebu in the archipelagic Southeast Asian country's center. Okay, so it says the quake's epicenter was shallow, only some 5 kilometers below the surface, which means its energy needed to travel less distance before hitting infrastructure. The seismic energy was strong enough to cause buildings to collapse, including a century-old church, and to leave cracks on bridges. In one affected town, the quake led to part of a sports complex collapsing on spectators of a basketball game. This is wild. In Bogo City, a village reported some 10 casualties, despite being made up of, quote, disaster-resilient homes that housed survivors of a devastating super typhoon back in 2013. Wow, so these people survived the super typhoon and then they were hit by the earthquake too. Just wild, right? This is increasing, all right? We're seeing more activity, a lot more earthquake activity, a lot more sun activity as well too. The sun is in its grand solar maximum currently. It could be related. It says natural disaster officials reported at least 72 people have sadly passed away and 294 were injured after the quake, though the official toll could increase in the coming days. Civil defense official Bernardo Rafaelito Alejandro IV, it's a pretty cool name, told a news conference from Manila on Wednesday that the country was still in the golden hour of our search and rescue, adding that there are, quote, still many reports of people who were pinned or hit by debris. By Thursday afternoon, the National Police said all missing individuals had been accounted for. He added that the quake was particularly deadly because it had happened at night. In the morning, we were all alert, but at night, when everyone is asleep, it takes time for us to react. A state of calamity was issued over the province on Wednesday, and on Thursday, President Fernando Marcos Jr. visited hard-hit areas to assess the extent of the damage. Okay, so very powerful earthquakes we keep seeing over and over. All right, every week there's like a big one that's causing building collapses, that's causing casualties. Okay, and we're just lucky in the United States that a big one hasn't hit here. But I mean, look at this earthquake activity. You can see just within the continental United States here, 139 earthquakes are in frame right now. There's a few up there in the corner that are technically in Alaska, and maybe one in Vancouver there, but over 130 earthquakes on the continental United States in 24 hours. Okay, that's a lot. That's a lot. We normally get, 80 to 100, but this is the upper end of that, 140. That's a lot. And you can see here getting some activity along the New Madrid fault line, okay? Not far from Paducah, Kentucky. You can see a 2.1 hitting in Caruthersville, Missouri along the Mississippi River. We got a couple out here in Oklahoma, 2.8, a 1.8, and another 1.8, and also some over here in eastern Tennessee. All right, you can see a 1.8 and a 2.4 in eastern Tennessee along the Appalachians, okay? And this is actually the eastern side of the New Madrid seismic zone. Eastern Tennessee and the Appalachian Mountains are actually included in that. So it's all the same seismic zone when you're seeing earthquake activity in this region, and it points to potential disturbances along the New Madrid fault line, which is centered in New Madrid, Missouri. Okay, so lots of earthquake activity you can see here. All right, a bunch in Texas. We're having 32 just in Texas. Kind of wild to see. All right, in California and Nevada, we're having 104 here, which is typical. We do have a lot in California. Increased activity we're seeing in Washington right now. We're having over a dozen here, which can happen, but hasn't been happening recently. So we are seeing increased activity and typical earthquake activity along Alaska. I mean, you can see 43 different earthquakes in the past 24 hours. So steady, consistent, small quakes hitting Alaska, especially since that Megaquake hit Russia a few months ago. Let's get into more details here of residents being put on standby to evacuate. This is in Utah County, Utah. This is right south of Salt Lake City. So you can see here's a fire that they are talking about. This is right outside of Provo. This is a cherry fire. It's currently 450 acres. They're saying that it's human caused. There's actually another fire, the Buckley Draw fire, 452 acres. But this is a brand new one, just popped up in the past 48 hours. And it has caused residents to be on, quote, standby for evacuations. You can see here fire crews drop retardant on cherry fire on Friday as it burns over 650 acres in Utah County. And you can see here it says the cherry fire in Utah County has expanded to over 650 acres. It remains 0% contained with erratic winds and high temperatures complicating efforts. Residents near the fire are on standby for possible evacuations due to its growth. It says a new wildfire burning in Utah County has expanded to more than 650 acres. The cherry fire is burning east of Springville and Mapleton and Hobble Creek Canyon and is 0% contained. Crews continue to battle the fire with resources on the ground and in the air, the agency said. Friday's weather didn't help crews fighting the fire as erratic winds and temperatures peaked into the 70s, according to the U.S. Forest Service. Weather tomorrow includes continued erratic winds. As predicted, thunderstorms move into the area. This is what a social media post published by the Forest Service Friday night reads, and says the growth has prompted fire officials to prepare locals for the potential of more evacuations being ordered. It says the U.S. Forest Service sent an alert out on Friday afternoon by Utah County Emergency Management, notifying people within the left fork Hobble Creek to Strawberry areas that, upon request, they may need to leave their property. And something to note here is that they technically can't force you to leave during these emergencies or evacuations, but the thing that happens is that they're not going to come save you, okay? And they're not going to come get you out of there, okay? It means that everyone's evacuating. It means that firefighters, everyone is getting out of this region, and the only people that are even close to this area are people actively fighting the fire, pushing it back, and they are not there for rescue operations. They're there for firefighting operations, and all of the rescue personnel and crew will be evacuated from that area and will be gone. All right, so it pretty much means you're on your own. Maybe if you're extremely lucky, you can get help if it really comes down to it, but they're not going to be happy with you, okay? But that's essentially what it means is that you're on your own in these areas unless you leave and they're not going to come to help you. So take these warnings serious. Okay, it was expected later today, maybe tomorrow, to have some rain in this region, so that might help dampen the fire and make it easier to control and stop it from spreading. It's been extremely windy where I'm at. I'm in the Rocky Mountains, and it's been super windy, and I could see how these fires can spread. Everything's dry right now, all the leaves are falling, okay, and they're even saying this one's human caused. On this air quality map, you can see the cherry fire. It says human down here at the cause, but it's spreading. All right, it starts small and then it spreads quickly. All right, so it already is 650 acres. It could be more by now, but be extremely careful in these areas. Don't start any unnecessary fires if you don't need to, because they can get out of control quickly. Hopefully it's not intentional fire. Hopefully it's just an accident, but we will see what it says. I will keep you guys updated. It says, quote, "This effectively puts anyone in the area in a, quote, set status. Evacuation orders are also in place for campsites in the right-hand fork of Hobble Creek," the U.S. Forest Service said. And it says here, the fire sparked Thursday afternoon and prompted the evacuation of homes and RVs in Hobble Creek Canyon by Thursday evening, as it had grown to more than 100 acres. Those residents and visitors were told to expect to remain evacuated until Sunday at least. And it says the cause of the fire remains under investigation, right? They are saying it's human caused on the airnow.gov website, but they're still trying to figure out exactly what is going on. All right, so be prepared. That's something that's always hard to do too. I'm always worried about. I lived in my RV for years, is evacuating in your RV. You really have to like pack up everything quickly and get out of there and go. And sometimes it's tight turning around, tight quarters. Everyone's trying to leave, could be jammed up. So have your stuff ready to go. Have your go bag ready. Have your prepper bag ready. All right, your bug out bag. Okay, whatever you want to call it. Have these things ready so it has critical documents you might need. Anything that you really don't want to get caught in a fire. I know you don't want anything to, but some things that are like irreplaceable that you don't want to get caught in a fire, definitely grab those and have those at top of mind, and have those in a bag if you can, or at least have a list of the things you want to grab. Like if it's something in your house you don't want to just have in a bag all the time, make a list so you can go and have that in your bag so you can pull it out and throw these things in quickly. Any sentimental things, all right, maybe some food, definitely some cash in that bag, okay, water filters, maps, some type of battery system if you can, like a small little battery generator, some type of like battery brick, just so you can charge your phone, charge these things just in case. And if you can, maybe a Starlink mini, a satellite phone, things like this, just so you have extra communications. There could be, cell phone towers could be down. You could be in rural areas where there is no cell phone, right? That's how it is mostly when I drive around. There's just no cell phone coverage. So we have like a Starlink mini that we can use, and you can plug it right into your car and get internet and get connected anywhere, even when you're driving. It's pretty incredible. And there's even like a standby feature for emergencies for it, where I think it's only like $5 a month, where you can use it in emergency situations, and you'll have like low bandwidth data, essentially, where it'll be enough to call people, text people, maybe check your email, things like that. It's not going to be enough for streaming or gaming or anything like that, HD streaming, but you can at least get on and get connected in an emergency. And I think it's only $5 a month on standby. Okay, so look at all these things. Make sure you guys are prepared. Make sure you guys are ready, stocked up. I hope you have big blessings for your life and your family, and I hope you have a big old blessed day.